Matt is changed forever. He'll never be the same man again. It will impact everything he does from here on out.
Charlie, I wanted to ask you specifically about the last thing Foggy says to Matt.
Yeah, first of all, I hear you. And it's on all of our minds, you know, that this is a bombshell. It's gutting. It's a tough one because it's, you know, as difficult as it is to imagine going forward without the heartbeat of the MCU. I think it's a bold move, you know, and it shakes everything up. It keeps everyone on their toes. You know, we've coming back after 6 years. We gotta rock the boat a little bit. And I guess Foggy is collateral damage, and you know, Eldon's just done such a beautiful job with that role for so many years. So I don't know. I can't even talk about it.
It's something that we lost a lot of sleep over. Nobody wanted to do it, but I think we all came to the same realization that it had to happen. It's Daredevil Born Again. You know, we have to bring Matt down to his bare essence, but it's done in a different way than the Frank Miller comic book. In the wake of Foggy's death, can't even say it, you see his whole life shattered.
The thing that's really wild about that is when I came in late to the process, that was already in the story, but it had happened off screen. And the reaction says it all. And I was like, it can't be off screen. We have to feel this. And you know, there's a promise written on a napkin at the end of season 3. And we see that promise in the beginning of this, and we take a hammer to it. And it's harsh and it hurts. But it is also not done lightly, because that loss colors everything that goes on with Matt from here on out. And I mean, a version of it happened in the books, but it was Karen. And I mean, like, no. So it was one of those things that was very, very tough to do. But I think ultimately it was inevitable. Mm-hmm. It's part of the character. It's part of the story. And in the Daredevil world, as fans, every loss has a new beginning. Every time he hits the ground, he gets back up. And that we have to watch that.
Yeah, and if you think about the old show, like so much, this was the fear. This is always the fear in Matt Murdock's life. And I think there's so much story to tell when the fear comes to life. Relationship, friendship, whatever it is with Karen gets just broken with a sledgehammer. The law office closes. But you find Matt a year later trying, I think, to approximate what Foggy wanted for him. Which is actually a really beautiful thing.
Matt is changed forever. He'll never be the same man again. It will impact everything he does from here on out. I think you're right. I think those words will haunt him. I think many things that Foggy had said to Matt over the years will haunt him. The experience of what happens will define his ability to serve his community going forward.
You're a real man of the people now.
A rich man, by his very nature, is self-serving. A mayor serves his city.
Huh.
You don't seem entirely convinced.
Can you blame me?
When you meet Fisk, he's in this new series, Born Again, where I'm coming out of the situation with Echo, where I've disappeared from everybody and tried to recoup because of what she did. I'm not quite sure what she did. She attempted to do something. I think that she failed doing it, but at the same time, she went into my brain and tried to pluck out of me all that is bad. So when he goes back, he has a lot of explaining to do to Vanessa. And not only he has to give her a good reason why she should stay married to him and convince her of his love for her, he has to tell her a new plan that he has. And that plan is something that's going to make him have to live in the daylight, kind of like a vampire trying to live in the daylight.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big strengths of the show is that these two adversaries that are morally so unaligned are actually, from a character standpoint, very aligned. They're both going through the same thing. They're trying to reinvent themselves. Matt is trying to be a lawyer and live in the light and not give into his primal sense of justice. And Fisk is trying to be a good mayor for New York and thinking about his legacy. Unfortunately, these are two men that use violence as a sort of currency and mechanism, and when the pressure comes to bear, they're going to resort to what they know.
What is the mask? Is the mask Murdock? Is the mask Daredevil? Is the mask Fisk? Is the mask Kingpin? That's what we're playing with. And what you see, I think you're just seeing the briefest glimpse at the end of episode 2. And then things happen that push both of them to fighting each other and fighting their natures. And that's when you have so much fun. You get to have an adversary on the outside and an adversary on the inside. And that has always been the story of Fisk and Murdock. For long before I was involved, long before any of us were involved. And this season, we get an opportunity to heighten it in a way that actually feels natural.
Of course, the entire conceit of Daredevil as a show is very often Wilson Fisk versus Matt Murdock, right? And what's interesting about them is both of them wear masks, especially in this season. Actually, this is the season in which they wear masks, which is Wilson Fisk is wearing a mask as a politician, and he has this other side of the coin, which is a mob boss. And then, of course, we have Matt, who is a lawyer working within the system of justice and also an extrajudicial vigilante. And this is a tension that can never be resolved in an easy way, right? This is the base tension of the show. It will come to a point where we're exploring it, of course, literally, what, wearing masks and anti-vigilante legislation, et cetera. It's this question of identity for these guys. And the whole season is kind of just scratching at these things. Is can you ever just work within the system? Can you ever just be an embodiment of your inner devil, right? Are those things healthy to both hold? Are they healthy to be one or the other? Are you too damaged to live inside society at all? That is the show to us, and that's why it's such a wellspring of creativity for us.
It's almost like a ticking time bomb, or a kettle that's about to boil. And when it does, therefore, reach a boiling point, it's an explosion. There's no other way to for it to come out of him.
By the end of this season, things happen that are extraordinary for New York City. I'm a New Yorker, and for what happens in our show to happen in New York City is it is a nightmare, the idea of it.
I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.